As welcome to the Bare Metal Cybersysm Prepcast. This series helps you prepare for the exam with focused explanations and practical context. Information security programs must do more than implement controls. They must also demonstrate performance, progress, and accountability. Metrics are the language used to accomplish that. The role of metrics in information security management is to quantify how well the program is performing, how effectively risks are being mitigated, and how consistently controls are operating. Metrics transform subjective judgments into data-backed evaluations. They provide visibility for executives and stakeholders, allowing them to understand where the organization stands in terms of security readiness, exposure, and capability. Metrics enable data-driven decision-making and help justify investments by showing how spending translates into measurable outcomes. They also support compliance by demonstrating alignment with frameworks, standards, and regulatory expectation. Finally, metrics are key to enabling continuous improvement. They provide the feedback loops that help organizations understand what's working, where gaps exist, and how to prioritize change. Without metrics, security leaders cannot guide programs, justify budgets, or measure success with credibility. Not all metrics are created equal. To be effective, metrics must possess certain characteristics. They must be relevant, meaning they are clearly tied to strategic objectives, operational goals, or compliance mandates. A metric that is technically accurate but strategically irrelevant will not drive action. Metrics must also be measurable. This means they must be based on reliable, consistent, and repeatable data that can be collected without ambiguity. Actionability is another key trait. Metrics must inform a decision, highlight a gap, or trigger a response. Metrics that are merely interesting but do not influence any outcome are not worth tracking. Understandability is equally important. Metrics must be easy to interpret, even for non-technical stakeholders. A good metric explains itself without requiring background in security architecture or terminology. Finally, metrics must be timely. They should be updated frequently enough to reflect current conditions, allowing stakeholders to respond in real time rather than based on stale or outdated information. For more cyber-related content and books, please check out cyberauthor.me. Also, there are other podcasts on cybersecurity and more at baremetalcyber.com. Security metrics fall into several categories. Performance metrics measure how well the organization is implementing security practices. Examples include the number of vulnerabilities patched within service-level agreements, percentage of users who have completed required training, or number of security reviews completed per quarter. Risk metrics track exposure, such as the number of critical risks identified, top risks ranked by likelihood and impact, or number of risks formally accepted by leadership. Compliance metrics measure adherence to policies, frameworks, and regulations. This includes audit findings, control maturity ratings, policy violation counts, or vendor security review status. Incident metrics track response performance and event characteristics. Examples include mean time to detect, mean time to respond, and mean time to recover. Awareness metrics provide insight into user behavior and organizational culture. These include phishing test failure rates, user reporting rates, and policy acknowledgement completion. A strong metrics program includes a balanced mix of these categories to provide a full view of program health. Choosing the right metrics begins with clarity about goals and constraints. The starting point should be the organization's strategic objectives and regulatory obligations. These guide what must be measured and how performance will be evaluated. Metrics should be mapped to the domains and tasks outlined in the Information Security Management Framework, ensuring traceability and consistency. Vanity metrics, such as the number of blocked emails or total firewall alerts, should be avoided unless they directly support decision-making or risk analysis. Instead, focus on metrics that highlight progress, identify weaknesses, or justify investment. The portfolio should include a mix of metrics across the prevention, detection, and response spectrum. Metrics should also reflect input from across the business. Legal, HR, compliance, and IT teams may all have different insights into what needs to be measured. By involving these stakeholders early, security leaders can ensure that the metrics collected are meaningful, actionable, and align with enterprise priority. Once selected, the next challenge is collecting metric data in a way that ensures accuracy and integrity. Data must be pulled from authoritative sources, such as security information and event management systems, governance, risk and compliance platforms, asset inventories, or human resources systems. Where possible, data collection should be automated to reduce manual effort, delay, and error. Automated feeds also improve frequency and scalability. However, automation does not remove the need for validation. Metric data must be verified periodically through cross-checks, audits, or sampling. Consistency in timestamps, data formats, and system identifiers is crucial for accurate analysis. Discrepancies in how different teams or tools define terms like incident or closure can lead to confusion. Access to raw data should be protected with appropriate confidentiality controls. Metrics may contain sensitive information about system vulnerabilities, staffing gaps, or unresolved risks. Security teams must treat metric data as an asset, maintaining both integrity and privacy throughout the reporting process. Collecting data is only the first step. Evaluating it is where the real value is unlocked. Metric evaluation begins by comparing results against internal baselines, industry benchmarks, or risk-based targets. This allows stakeholders to understand what is good, bad, or improving. Trend analysis can show whether metrics are trending in the right direction, improving, deteriorating, or remaining static. For example, a steady reduction in phishing click rates indicates effective awareness training, while stagnant patching timelines may point to operational bottlenecks. Outliers or anomalies should be highlighted for deeper review. A sudden spike in incident response time may signal staffing issues, tool misconfiguration, or external factors. Metrics should also be cross-referenced. For example, a high number of accepted risks may correlate with a low rate of completed risk assessments, suggesting either policy misalignment or capacity constraints. Metric targets must be periodically revisited and adjusted to reflect the organization's risk appetite, maturity level, and changing threat environment. The value of metrics increases exponentially when they are communicated clearly. Metric dashboards and reports should use intuitive visuals such as bar charts, heat maps, and trend lines. Reports should group metrics based on audience relevance. Executives may only need high-level summaries focused on top risks, program maturity, or strategic initiatives. Operational teams need more detail on control performance, system-level issues, and process improvements. Color-coded thresholds such as red, yellow, and green help readers understand whether metrics are within acceptable ranges or require intervention. Every dashboard should include a brief narrative or analyst summary that highlights insights, explains anomalies, and recommends actions. A chart alone does not drive change. It must be accompanied by interpretation and context. Metric reports should be reviewed in regular governance meetings and referenced in risk discussions, resource planning, and incident reviews. Reporting cadence must be tailored to the audience and organizational rhythm. Executive dashboards may be delivered monthly or quarterly, aligned with board meetings or enterprise planning cycles. Operational metrics may be reviewed weekly or bi-weekly during team stand-ups or control reviews. Alignment with governance calendars is critical to ensure that reporting informs rather than trails decision-making. Reporting formats should be standardized to improve comparability and allow stakeholders to recognize trends over time. Reporting responsibilities should be clearly defined within governance charters, incident response plans, or compliance workflows. If a risk trend emerges or a major control fails, reporting must be elevated quickly through special reports or escalations that bypass normal cadence. These mechanisms ensure that metrics remain timely and responsive, not just routine. Several common pitfalls can undermine even well-intentioned metric programs. One is the collection of too many metrics, resulting in overload, confusion, and diluted focus. Another is using metrics that are too abstract or difficult to act upon. If a metric cannot be linked to a decision, investment, or improvement, it may not be worth tracking. Failing to update metrics as systems or threats evolve can result in obsolete insights. Ignoring user feedback on report clarity or usefulness leads to disengagement. Finally, relying solely on technical indicators such as log counts or event rates without tying them to business relevance limits the ability to influence executive decision-making. Avoiding these pitfalls requires discipline, communication, and a willingness to revise the program as needed. Metric programs must be reviewed and improved continuously. The metric portfolio should be reassessed at least annually or whenever the business, threat landscape, or technology environment changes significantly. Low-value or redundant indicators should be retired. New metrics should be introduced to reflect emerging risks, new tools, or evolving priorities. For example, as the organization moves to the cloud, metrics on API security or identity federation may become more important. Feedback should be collected from stakeholders on the relevance, clarity, and impact of reported metrics. Metric performance should be tracked over time, asking not only what the numbers show, but how often they influence decisions. Most importantly, metric evaluation must be treated as a strategic activity, not just a reporting task. It's a leadership responsibility that drives transparency, informs investment, and enables continuous security program improvement. Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Bare Metal Cybersysm Prepcast. For more episodes, tools, and study support, visit us at baremetalcyber.com.